At the subatomic scale, matter ceases to behave like solid geometry. Electrons do not orbit a nucleus like miniature planets. Instead, they exist as smeared-out waves of probability, their density shifting through three-dimensional space. For the simplest atom, hydrogen, with only one electron, the wave behavior is mathematically exact. Schrödinger's equation provides a perfect model of that single electron's behavior. In this solution, the electron's energy is dictated entirely by its principal quantum number, n. This represents the major energy shell the electron belongs to. This diagram shows the energy levels for a hydrogen atom. The 1s state sits at bottom. Directly above it, the 2s and 2p orbitals sit on the exact same horizontal line. We call these matching states degenerate. Because 2s and 2p are degenerate in hydrogen, an electron moving between them does so with zero energy exchange. For a single electron, the shape of the orbital has no impact on its potential energy. Whether a spherical s or a dumbbell-shaped p, the energy level remains the same. This mathematical simplicity vanishes when we build the heavier multi-electron elements found on the periodic table. This is the Madelung rule, the empirical filling order chemistry students memorize to determine where electrons go as an atom grows. The pattern breaks the hierarchy at the third shell. The filling order passes through the 4s orbital before it reaches the 3d orbital. This indicates that an orbital in the fourth energy shell has dropped into a lower energy state than one in the third shell. Adding a second electron to the system causes these energy levels to splinter. The 2s orbital drops below the 2p, and the 4s orbital plunges below the 3d. The degeneracy is broken. In complex atoms, adding more electrons destroys the hierarchy of the principal quantum shells. We now need to understand exactly why. The leap from the single electron of hydrogen to the 2 electrons of helium was where the exact math of early 20th century physics failed. This equation, the Hamiltonian, accounts for 2 forces in a single electron atom, the electron's kinetic energy and its attraction to the nucleus. Complexity arrives with multiple electrons, as every electron begins repelling every other electron. Because these repulsion forces depend on the shifting positions of all electrons simultaneously, the equation becomes analytically unsolvable. We call this electron correlation. Because they repel each other, the exact position of one electron constantly alters the trajectory of the others, creating a subatomic version of the chaotic three-body problem. To model heavy atoms, physicists had to move past exact solutions and find a new way to account for this internal repulsion. The Hartree-Fock method provided a conceptual shortcut to bypass the multibody problem. Instead of tracking individual particles, this approximation treats the inner electrons as a blurred cloud of negative charge, a mean field. This cloud creates a barrier between the nucleus and any electrons further out, a phenomenon known as shielding. This equation describes the effective nuclear charge, or Zf. The true charge of the nucleus, Z, is reduced by the shielding constant of the inner cloud, S. The inner cloud masks the nucleus, causing the outer electron to experience a weaker electrostatic pull. If shielding were a perfect impenetrable wall, the principal shell hierarchy would remain intact. But electrons are waves, and waves leak. The hierarchy collapses because we assume outer electrons stay strictly outside the inner core. The math of the wave function shows a different reality. We can map exactly where an electron is likely to be found using radial probability distribution functions. On this graph, the 3d and 3p orbitals have their major peaks far to the right. These electrons are likely to be found well outside the inner core. Now look at the 3s orbital. While its main peak is further out, it has an inner antinode located extremely close to the nucleus. That inner peak represents the electron's physical presence inside the core, a non-zero probability of existing right at the nucleus. It physically pierces the inner shield. Similar to a vibrating drumhead, the edges can stay completely still, while the very center moves most strongly. In an s orbital, this central antinode means the electron's part of its time passing through the nucleus. This penetration effect exposes the electron to the full charge of the nucleus. This attraction lowers the orbital's potential energy far below its p and d counterparts. We can now resolve the specific competition between the 4s and 3d orbitals that broke the rules in Act 1. Both orbitals attempt to form outside a dense inner core of 18 electrons. The 3D orbital lacks radial nodes, staying outside the shield with high energy. In contrast, the 4s orbital's inner antinodes pierce the core. Even with its bulk further away, it briefly reaches the potential energy well's bottom. This brief fraction of time spent unshielded near the nucleus lowers the average energy of the 4s electron. By the time the forces balance, the 4s state has fallen beneath the 3D orbital. The quantum shell hierarchy is not an absolute rule. Actual energy is the outcome of a competition for unshielded nuclear proximity. This specific shift in energy levels translates directly into the observable structure of the elements. The sequence of orbital filling determines which electrons are available for chemical bonding and which are locked in the core, dictating each element's chemical properties. The iconic block shape of the periodic table, with its separate s, p, and d blocks, is a visible map of where penetration and shielding have altered the orbital order. The blocks and rows of the periodic table emerge directly from this microscopic competition over effective nuclear charge.